Welcome to Makan Kiki, a series where we gather youths from all walks of lives and identities to talk about the education system in Singapore over delicious meals. This episode, we'll be talking about CCAs and how they've shaped their queer identities. Our diners will answer a series of chop or nope questions before delving into meaty discussions. Let's makan and have a kiki! Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. So today we'll be talking about CCAs and how it shaped your queer identity. So we'll just move right into the questions. So you have your paddles with you, and on the paddles it can either say chop or no. So we're going to ask you a few rapid fire questions and we'll discuss more about it later. My CCA allowed me to discover my queer identity or sexuality. Ready? Paddles up in 3, 2, 1. Okay, great. My CCA had individuals with diverse identities. Paddles up in 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's nice. Okay, we're gonna move on. I had a supportive queer community in my CCA. Paddles up in 3, 2, 1. Okay, interesting. Oh, half? Okay, we'll talk about that later. My queer identity caused me to face issues during my CCA activities. Okay, paddles up in 3, 2, 1. Oh, is yours half too, Ray?
Yeah, it's a very yesent.
Yesent. Okay, interesting. And then for the last question, I am hopeful that more CCAs can be a safe space for queer students. Paddles up in 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay, that's so sweet. So we're gonna guess the makan. We're gonna show you some emojis and you have to guess what is this episode's makan. 3, 2, 1.
Nasi lemak.
Yeah, nasi lemak.
Yeah, okay. So you're gonna eat.
No, what's the emoji? Pickle.
It's supposed to be a cucumber, but like, yeah.
it was a
Okay.
caterpillar.
But thank you so much. So now that all of you are filling your bellies, we're gonna be discussing the questions that you answered. So for the first question, my CCA allowed me to discover my queer identity and sexuality.
Cause I kind of like figured it out before joining CCA, I guess. So I figured out my identities, both sexuality and gender, like when I was like 12, 13, and then you just finished PSLE, you haven't really started secondary school yet. So I guess CCA just wasn't in the equation.
Maybe to the rest of you that said yes.
When I was in primary school, netball. When I was in netball, there's a lot of fit girls. So I'd be like, they're just really pretty. They're just really pretty. And it's not wrong to admire pretty women, right? Everybody loves them. People in my CCA at that time, they were telling me their own experiences with their girlfriends or their partners, and then I was like, oh, so this is a thing? And then they were like, yeah, it's a thing. So it helped me realize that I do like women, and I decided to embrace that idea because it's a part of me, and the community in my CCA really helped me to foster that sense of discovery and exploration towards my sexuality.
Do y'all think that because of someone's identity, they were like snubbed off a role, like or exco or anything? Do y'all know any instances of that happening?
I was gonna say I did kind of
You
see
did?
like a bit
Oh,
of
really?
that in
Okay.
like secondary school, but I don't know if it was. But because this is like a second-hand account that I was like hearing from someone who
somebody else,
I
okay.
wasn't really that close to, so of course it's like hearsay lah, and like of course I don't want to speak for her also, but she said that she did feel when they were selecting who would be student councillors at the time, right? She felt that because she was a certain race and there was some racial quota thing going on in the background.
Okay.
And that was the reason why the situation turned out the way it did lah.
So for the next question, the prompt was, I had a supportive queer community in my CCA.
Like no one's gonna like make fun of you because because of your sexuality or anything like that. It's not gonna be like, "Hi, he's gay." However, there are people in the CCA who are not straight who have shown like biphobia and stuff, saying stuff like bi people are just gay people who are afraid to who don't want to accept that they're gay, and that kind of thing, right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
there have also been people who have shown transphobia,
Real?
like not like I suppose not like hard, but like, you know, like making jokes about like people, like about people's like pronouns and stuff like that, right? It's accepting to a certain extent, but then I think that there are individuals, you know, within.
So my queer identity caused me to face issues during my CCA activities.
Because I have a lot to yap about this and you know about it because I told you during the screening. In uni, which I am in now, the one that I'm talking about now is the outdoor activities, kind of sporty, kind of CCA kind of vibe, where, you know, people split into girls and boys, the classic. You know, since we're in uni, we can do things that are a bit more adventurous, like going overseas. A week before the trip happened, just a week before the trip happened, they reviewed all of our kind of medical papers that we submitted them. So of course, on this thing, I have to declare any medications that I'm on. So that's where I declared my hormone replacement therapy. I declared that I was on that testosterone. Even though I had submitted this memo quite a while ago already, I guess it wasn't really caught or flagged by the school staff members until a week before the trip started, where they suddenly realized, wait, this person is taking testosterone, and this person looks like a guy, but this person is a girl. And then they're like, what are we gonna do with this person? Actually, right, surprisingly, right, they were quite okay to go along with what I wanted, and it was never ever mentioned once that I would have to stay in the female dorm. So actually, yeah, so that was very nice of them. So I did feel very supported by them in that respect. And they were consulting my opinion about all of this as well. So I felt very hurt, definitely.
And so all of y'all unanimously said that y'all are hopeful that more CCAs can be a safe space for queer students. But maybe y'all can also share why do you think that's the trajectory that we're going for? Even
though that happened, I feel like it was more out of a place of like ignorance rather than any like maliciousness. Like it definitely wasn't like a malicious intent. It was more of like a, oh, I don't know what to do. I better you know, escalate it to someone who might know better than me. And then, you know, they followed that series of events. I think they took it pretty well, and like, you know, everyone was very open to hearing and listening to like my perspective. I definitely felt very listened to. I felt like, you know, my worries and everything were like validated, and then like my opinion was being taken into account. So I hope that once like the teachers have seen like, you know, my situation, they can like follow up with like future situations to come out with this, or like even better would be like, you know, if they had like set some sort of standardization for like, you know, queer students. So that's why I'm hopeful.
Okay, thank you so much for answering all your 12-point note questions. Lastly, we're just going to wrap up with some general questions that, you know, we'd like some answers to. So here's some food for thought. So, what are some school experiences that cis people would not be able to understand?
One word, toilets.
Definitely, I think the toilets.
100%.
Definitely.
Yeah. You know, there's the awkwardness of like, you know, if you're not passing, you have to go use the toilet that like of your assigned gender, which is a little bit uncomfortable. And then there's like that really awkward in-between stage. You know, like when you are transitioning, but you're sort of like, you know, you're a bit too feminine for the men's toilet, a bit too masculine for the women's toilet, and the only other like unisex option you have is the handicapped toilet, and you feel really bad about using the handicapped toilet.
Like, yeah, it's like people confuse me for a man sometimes, you know?
I relate a lot to that, just because I have long hair, right? And then like sometimes I'm like washing at the sink, and then like the uncle can't be like, sorry, then I turn around, and it's like, oh, then he has to double apologize. Yeah.
I feel like this is why, like, you know, the whole like not assuming like kind of goes like actually benefits everyone.
Exactly.
So the next question is, what would you suggest for cis people to do to help you feel more accepted? And maybe for the cis people, you know, how do you think you can help to make non-cis people feel more accepted? Yeah.
I feel like this is more of a matter of like, awareness and education, especially like in your case where like your CCA like leaders and like the teachers involved, like they were kind of clueless, like not malicious, like they weren't
It was
malicious,
not
they
malicious.
just didn't know
It
what
was
to
just
do.
clueless.
So yeah, like if there's like some kind of like training when it comes for like have a contingency plan or like a protocol when it comes to like queer students, trans students, what have you. Accommodation like really goes like a long way for us.
The systems in place need to change. There's only, unfortunately, it's only so much that like acceptance and understanding on an individual level can help, and it's great to have that, right? But it's not enough.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like if we want to feel more accepted, then it really has to like get to the people on top, to the people who make these like, who make all like the admin and like all the bureaucracy and everything. Yeah.
For me as a cis person, it's very very small things. Like even though like I can't change the system by myself, but at least like I can do little things in my life for the people in my life, or even strangers who just come and go. I can just do little things for them. Like I've been practicing saying gender neutral pronouns. I think I'm getting better at that. And then secondly, I think I've been trying to correct like my parents, especially because they're more traditional. So they'll be like, oh, why do you dress so boy? Or why do you dress so girly? Then I'll be like, oh, clothes are just clothes. They don't have gender. So like I'll try to like say these things very verbally in front of my genderqueer sibling to make them feel, more comfortable about it. It's like little things you do for that, like just to remind yourself, like, oh, this, like you gotta respect everybody's pronouns.
Okay, we're gonna move on to our last question. What advice would you give to queer people that are still in the education system?
Find your tribe. Try to find like other queer people, so you have like that kind of support and people to share your experiences with. So you're not the only one.
Yeah, continuing off that, I really feel that in-person support really does make a difference.
Oh, it
It's
absolutely
like,
does.
definitely if you can find your tribe like in real life, that's the best thing. I know it's very easy to like kind of just like immediately try to go online because it's much easier to like be anonymous that way. But I'm gonna sound damn boomer, but it's like it really makes a difference for it to be in person, for there to be physically there.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
If you don't feel safe coming out in any way, shape, or form, don't.
Yeah.
Really don't. If you
Yeah.
think like in the very slightest you're not safe whatsoever, please don't.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
out. Really,
Like,
please don't.
You're not-
Safety is definitely
Yeah, your
Yeah.
safety
first
comes
thing.
first.
Yeah.
You
You're not
really
under
can't-
obligation to come out if you
really won't know what will
don't
happen
have
if
to.
you
Yeah.
don't have that security.
For the sake of it, your safety comes first.
Yes.
Yeah, really don't.
Because especially for those who are still in the education system, they are like
Yeah,
mostly
it's
young people who are
Yeah.
very reliant on their family.
Yeah.
Like I understand that you want to embrace your identity and like be proud of who you are, but your safety is at jeopardy if people around you don't see you the same way. I know it can be hard, especially if you're like a same-sex couple, because especially if your parents or people around you are not so welcoming, right? It can be very hard, but don't worry, power through. Like someday you'll make a world for yourself that both of you will be happy with.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Any last thoughts that you would like to add, or?
Well, mostly I'll just say that be proud of yourself. You've gone through like so many trials and tribulations that nobody else has seen but you, and only you understand the weight of what you've gone through. So always be proud of yourself. You can feel bad sometimes, but just know that it'll always be a better day.
Yeah.
It'll always be a better day on the horizon. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get better. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Click here for our socials and click here to subscribe. Let's makan next time!